more police officers, more fire. I want to make sure we got enough space to do it. Whereas everything we're looking at,
They kicked the can.
yeah, it's like a street. That's what we needed in the first place. Yeah. But
You're right, that's historically kind of just competition.
yeah, that's bicycle.
You can put it there right now.
Because it's not going to get any cheaper.
Because there are, you go ahead, because there are no votes prior to us doing that.
So when you finish this first one,
Yeah.
I'll switch you over to the second.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're about to begin our second city council meeting for tonight. Here we are in the council chambers on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. And we are calling the meeting officially to order. We have an invocation by Mr. Sukra. There he is. Okay.
All right. Thanks for having me here, guys. If you could bow your heads, let's pray. God, thank you for bringing us here today. God, I just pray that you would be filling us with your wisdom and your peace. God, I pray for guidance for the mayor and for the rest of those on the city council. I pray that we would have unity here tonight, that everything that would be talked about would be things that would bring you glory, but also would bring just peace and just taking care of people for North Platte, taking care of the people who live here, the people in the surrounding area. God, we just want to make sure that what we do is something that takes care of the people living here. And so I just pray that as we go throughout the rest of this meeting, that you would be just filling us with your wisdom and just bringing us closer together as the city of North Platte, and that we would be able to be on the same page moving forward as we continue to grow our economy and just be unified as a city. And I pray this in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Angie, roll call, please.
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here. Here.
Thank you. The current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure. The public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit your remarks. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. Tonight, I am very honored to have the opportunity to swear in a new firefighter as well as a promotion. Of course, we've done this with police for a long time, and I'm excited that we're adding the fire department to this practice as well. So if I could get our firefighter up here, please.
Mustache. Yes, he does.
And you get him in the center there, please. Sorry, you get a microphone. I need to make sure I hand you the right sheet, or you may become a captain here. So it's,
I don't want that.
Okay, all right. All right. If you want to look there, but in case your eyes don't work, there's what we're going to work through here. So.
Good.
Okay, Colton, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've divided this up so you can just, I'm going to read the first part, then the second part, so it should be obvious where I stop, okay? Oath of the office of firefighter, or for firefighter. I state your name.
Colton Chandler.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties and responsibilities of a firefighter for the city of North Platte, Nebraska to the best of my ability. Can you say that part?
I, Colton Chandler, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties and responsibilities of a firefighter for the city of North Platte, Nebraska to the best of my ability.
I pledge to serve the people of North Platte with honor, courage, and integrity, placing the safety and well-being of the community above all else. I will perform my duties with dedication, respect, and a steadfast commitment to upholding the laws and regulations governing the fire service.
I pledge to serve the people of North Platte with honor, courage, and integrity, placing the safety and well-being of the community above all else. I will perform my duties with dedication, respect, and a steadfast commitment to uphold the laws and regulations governing the fire service.
I will respond to emergencies, both fire and medical, with a clear mind and a steady hand, working as part of a team to protect lives, property, and the environment. I will strive to continually improve my skills and knowledge and to act with compassion and professionalism in all circumstances.
I will respond to emergencies, both fire and medical, with a clear mind and a steady hand, working as part of a team to protect lives, property, and the environment. I will strive to continually improve my skills and knowledge and act with compassion and professionalism in all circumstances.
I will be a guardian of the public trust, holding myself to the highest standards of ethical conduct and accountability, and I will honor the legacy of those who have served before me, passing on values of service, sacrifice, and respect to those who come after, so help me God.
I will be a guardian of the public's trust, holding myself to the highest standards of ethical conduct and accountability, and I will honor the legacy of those who have served before me, passing on the values of service, sacrifice, and respect to those who come after, so help me God.
Okay, congratulations, folks. Thank you very much. I'll take the microphone. Thank you. I'll put that one as well. Now we get the picture phase. Uh-oh, I didn't know there'd be so many. Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Set those right there, guys. Okay, now we should have a captain. Now this looks official. You've got a strap and everything.
Yeah, this is something, isn't it?
Yeah, here, let's just do this.
Maybe they're all here.
Geared up. I'll just clip it on.
I feel nice.
Okay. There you go. Oath of office for a fire officer. You saw how we're doing this. Okay. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties and responsibilities of a captain for the North Platte Fire Department to the best of my ability.
I, Justin Thompson, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties and responsibilities of a captain for the North Platte Fire Department to the best of my ability.
I pledge to uphold the trust placed in me by my fellow firefighters, the community, and the city of North Platte. As a leader, I will guide and support my team with respect, integrity, and dedication. I will ensure the safety, well-being, and professionalism of those under my command, and I will foster an environment of teamwork, accountability, and mutual respect.
I pledge to uphold the trust placed in me by my fellow firefighters, the community, and the city of North Platte. As a leader, I will guide and support my team with respect, integrity, and dedication. I will ensure the safety, well-being, and professionalism of those under my command, and I will foster an environment of teamwork, accountability, and mutual respect.
I will remain steadfast in my commitment to protecting lives, property, and the environment, and I will perform my duties with courage, sound judgment, and responsibility. I will ensure that every decision I make is driven by the best interest of the public and the fire service.
I will remain steadfast in my commitment to protecting lives, property, and the environment, and I will perform my duties with courage, sound judgment, and responsibility. I will ensure that every decision I make is driven by the best interest of the public and the fire service.
I vow to continue my education and training, both personally and as a mentor to others, striving for excellence and preparing the North Platte Fire Department to meet the challenges of a rapidly evolving world. I will lead by example, upholding the highest ethical and professional standards and honoring the legacy of those who have served before me.
I vow to continue my education and training, both personally and as a mentor to others, striving for excellence and preparing the North Platte Fire Department to meet the challenges of a rapidly evolving world. I will lead by example, upholding the highest ethical and professional standards, and honoring the legacy of those who have served before me.
I will be a dedicated public servant, ever mindful of my duty to serve with honor, humility, and respect for all people, so help me God.
I will be a dedicated public servant, ever mindful of my duty to serve with honor, humility, and respect for all people, so help me God.
Congratulations, Justin.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think there'll be cameras again, yep. Thank you. I'm gonna take that mic.
Yep, you get that.
There we go.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, congratulations, everyone. Moving on to the consent agenda. All matters on the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. Number 1A, approve the minutes of January 7, 2025. 1B, approve the application of city discount liquors for a special designated license on February 5th, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Dean Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for the Buffalo Bill Farm and Ranch Expo. 1C, approve the application by Old Depot Vineyard and Winery for a special designated license on February 13, 2025 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Birdwood Beef, 1102 North Jeffers for a Valentine's Day promotional event. 1D, approve the application of Las Mananitas for a special designated license on February 15, 2025 from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the American Legion Hall, 2020 East 4th Street for a Spanish dance fundraiser. Item E, approve the application by Big Red Liquor for a special designated license on February 21, 2025 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Adams Bank and Trust, 121 South Jeffers for business after hours. F, approve the application by Skyline Spirits LLC for a special designated liquor license on March 15, 2025 from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. at the Dean Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for MMA fights. Approve the application by Aiden Enterprises LLC DBA Sutherland Longhorn Bar for a special designated license on March 21, 2025 from 4 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. at the Dean Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for the Ducks Unlimited banquet. Item H, approve the mayor's reappointments of Tia McGuire and Matthew Borton to the Tree Board. I, approve the public transit service contract with Great Plains Health and authorize the mayor to negotiate and sign necessary documents. Item J, approve request from Adams Bank and Trust, Dayspring Bank, Equitable Bank, First Interstate Bank, First National Bank of Omaha, Hershey Bank, Lincoln Federal Savings Bank, Nebraska Public Agency Investment Trust, NPIAT, Nebraska Land Bank, Sandhill State Bank, Union Bank and Trust, Wells Fargo Bank, NA, and Western Nebraska Bank to be designated as depository banks for city funds for 2025. And let it not be said there is nothing to do in North Platte in the month of February.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Lucas, second by Garrick. Approve the consent agenda. Calling the question on the consent agenda, please. Consent agenda is passed. Thank you, everyone. Regular meeting. Item number 2, adopt the resolution to approve the amended redevelopment contract for the North Platte Mall project and approval of related actions.
I move to adopt the resolution as presented in the council materials and approve the amended redevelopment contract for the North Platte Mall project and approval of related actions.
Second.
Motion by Vols, second by Nisley. Okay, there's a lot to talk about in this one. Fortunately, we have Mr. Works in the audience, so he can answer lots of questions for us. Mike, could you just give us a kind of an overview of what your plan here is in terms of changes to the existing structure, et cetera?
Absolutely. So we are here asking for an increase in the original bond amount of $3.3 million Obviously, the original bond amount all has gone into the west side of the mall. I think it's something we all drive by and see, and I know we're proud of it. I hope the city of North Platte's proud of it, and gotten a lot done there. I mean, created a lot of jobs, over $70 million of new projects in the mall so far. And now we are turning our attention to the backside of the mall, which, as you can imagine, has been harder to get retailers and other people interested in. And so that's what we're needing some help with. There are a number of, well, I guess there's two things. We've got extra possibilities on that backside. The first one is a mixed-use building, which includes 71 new apartments. I know that's needed in the community. That would be step number one. We would be ready to go with that. The plan is to start moving on that in March of this year. We know Sustainable Beef has needs almost immediately, and we won't get there in time for everybody, but we will get there in time for the back end of the Sustainable Beef employees. That's number one. Number two, on the backside of the J.C. Penney's building, we've got approximately 35,000 square feet of retail space that's available. We do have interest from a regional retailer out of the Southeast. It's a discount store that has given us an offer to lease. We are still in negotiations, and obviously that lease depends on what happens here tonight too. But that would be an option for the back of the J.C. Penney's building. And then we do have interest from others. We do not have a solid offer at this point, but we've talked to everybody from a hardware store to a pet store to a kind of a spa type place on the backside of Herbert's, which is about 14,000 square feet. So all in all, we've got approximately 60,000 square feet, give or take, left to rent out if you include those spaces at the mall. Most of that is on the backside of the mall. Obviously, the very first thing we would do if this was passed is fill the potholes on the backside of the mall, which we all know is an issue, and would like to get that done right away. But that's why we're here asking for the additional $3.3 million. Now, that $3.3 million is not just going to be given to us. We will have to show expenses from here forward that are eligible under the EEA law, and we will be able to do a portion of that now. We expect that in the future, there will be additional projects at the mall that we would continue to draw from that $3.3 million. And I guess I'd be very clear that two things. Number one, we are not asking for an extension of time on the original EEA. It's the original 20 years, correct? And then we are not asking for an increase in the 1.95% that has been the EEA occupation tax amount. Those are staying the same. All we're really asking to do is clearly costs have gone up significantly since 2020 when we bought the mall. And clearly there's additional things we want to do on the backside. But at the same time, revenues and sales at the mall have gone up substantially more than anybody thought they would too. So all we're really asking to do is be able to use some of those additional occupation taxes down the road to improve the mall on the backside.
Okay, thanks for the overview.
Absolutely. Happy to answer questions.
Is it your intent to do anything with the parking lot other than fill the potholes?
We would be filling the potholes. We would be resealing and restriping the areas as we redevelop them. So the first thing that's going to happen is clearly the mixed-use building and the 71 apartments on the southeast corner over on that grassy area sort of in front of the movie theater. So that would be the first thing. So I would expect all of that area over there. I guess there's something else we should talk about too. $200,000 of this new EEA extension would also be used and be granted to the city. I'm not going to remember which department of the city, but to the city to improve the stormwater system in that southeast corner. And maybe Lane could talk about that a little bit more, but that's our agreement with the city, and that's something that I understand would happen almost immediately too.
Yes, that where their stormwater enters into right now, the storm pipe is actually smaller than their pipes going into it, and so it'd be an extension of that to a larger storm pipe. Basically, that runs along Leota, so they'd be going quite a distance straight south of the mall to Leota to meet the larger storm pipe and then go into the river than what they have now, which would help with drainage of the whole mall property. It might help then alleviate some drainage concerns since they'd be bypassing the pipe they're going into now, going into a larger pipe. The existing pipe they're going into would then be better suited to drain the other things along Francis, both east and west of the mall property. So it should be a win-win for both parties.
Thank you. Okay, we have Mr. Works up here. What questions do we have? Pete?
Mike, you and I have talked a number of times on this, and I'm a huge proponent of this project. The worst thing I could see happening is I get off city council and 10 years from now, the mall is sitting just like it is, They're like, who's the dumb city councilman that let that happen? So I really don't want that to happen. I want this to come to fruition. With that being said, I've scoured, and I'm not an attorney, but I've scoured this contract, and I would love to have verbiage in the contract, in the redevelopment contract, ascertaining that Exhibit A gets facilitated. Okay. And so in our Exhibit A, site parking rehabilitation, utilities and lighting, mall infrastructure, demo rehab and energy systems, facade enhancements, and mall public activity space. So I guess, and you kind of set a timeline around there on how you envision this happening. Could you expound on that just a little bit, and so that the community can get a good sense of completion of these aspects? And after that, I'd like to visit or have the city attorney chime in to see if there is actual teeth in this contract to be able to have Exhibit A completed.
Understood.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, when we're asking for this, and if you guys approve it tonight, we don't get a check for $3.3 million, right? That's not how this works. We still have to come out of pocket with monies to do any project that we're going to do. And I think we've been clear the whole time that we really aren't, this money can't just be immediately spent to just redo the parking lot in the back unless we have users for that area back there. So those users include the mixed use building that we're doing with other partners. It includes hopefully working out a deal with Ollie's, which is the discount chain store on the back of JCPenney's, and finding other folks. So as those projects are done, now that could be, we might be done with Ollie's in 3 months on a lease and get moving. It also could be that what they offer just doesn't make any sense, and we look for somebody else, right? So promising a certain timeline is very, very difficult. What I can tell you is that, and I think Bill can hopefully agree to this, is that we can't access any of these funds until we actually expend these amounts, whether that happens to be 3 months from now, 3 years from now, or even 15 years from now. I think we've got 17 years left on the original EA. So I hate to overpromise something, but at this point, it is absolutely our intention, assuming funding comes in, banking comes in correctly, that we would start on the mixed use project, and that southeast corner at least would get significant improvements, including the stormwater, including the parking lot, including utilities that we still have to put in, and the mixed use building here very, very shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Please.
Is it my turn? Okay. Yeah, so if you're following along and you have the proposed amended redevelopment contract in front of you, if you look at section 3.03, which talks about issuing this new redevelopment bond, or the new EEA bond, which Mr. Works talked about in the amount of no more than 3.3 million. If you refer to part B there under section 3.03, it specifically states that that bond will not be issued until there's full compliance with that section 3.05, which follows on the next page, and certain other things that have to happen. So, so they aren't getting any of that money from that bond until these things have been completed in 3.03B, but also 3.05, which talks about kind of some of what they can, how they have to certify the costs, I guess, not to oversimplify things, but which is kind of going to what Mr. Works was saying about, what they're going to use some of these funds for, or almost reimburse themselves. I think I'm trying not to oversimplify, but that's from my perspective how the contract reads.
So if I might, Mr. Trzynski, we are going to go ahead, let's say we approve this tonight, the city council approves this tonight, you are going to go ahead and issue the bond correctly. We just wouldn't be able to draw upon the bond until we had certified expenses. From my perspective, that's important because, of course, we want to monetize a portion of the bond to do some of the work.
But this contract has specifications as to what has to happen before the bond gets issued. It does state that. So we're saying that, I think we're saying the same thing.
Are we? Okay.
We're just saying it differently.
Ed?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Works, what percentage of the primary mall building has been renovated or remodeled or made usable for new habitation?
Let me do some quick math in my head, if you would. I think the answer to that would be approximately 70%, give or take.
70% is remaining to be
No,
remodeled?
70% has been remodeled at this point. Pretty much the only things that are left are that center section that used to be JCPenney's, the entrance to the mall, the old center entrance to the mall, and that back portion, which is the 14,000 square feet behind Herberger's.
And is there property in the building, is there a segment of the building due east of Five Below and TJ Maxx that has not been remodeled, or that has been remodeled?
So remodel is an interesting question.
Wow.
It does not have a tenant in it, so it has not seen tenant improvements yet. But in terms of, does it have a new roof? Does it have new HVAC units and all those sort of things? That sort of stuff has been done. So significant costs have gone into that section, but you're right, we don't have a tenant, so we have not done the finishes on the inside.
So if you're looking at putting a tenant in there, what percentage of the cost to make that part of the building marketable is still remaining to be spent?
I would say 10 to 20% probably, because most of the additional cost that's going to go into that is tenant improvements. Now, the way this has worked for us at the mall, those tenant improvements have all been paid by developer and then get paid off with the lease over time as time goes on. So if you're asking me as an overall cost, that would depend on what tenant goes in there, right? You get a inexpensive retailer that just needs metal shelving, that's not going to cost us very much. You get something more detailed and higher end, I suppose. Yeah, then the cost could go substantially.
So my understanding correctly that before a tenant moves in there, the tenant pays to have the space upgraded to meet their specifications, or do you have the specifications and you upgrade it and then you charge the tenant over time to pay you back?
So great question, because I was not in retail before we did all of this either. So learning as we went. The truth is that I would say about 60 to 70, maybe even 80% of that total cost is paid by developer.
Okay.
Retailer definitely puts something in, but it's usually the smaller portion.
Okay. I didn't go back and look at the original TIF agreement, but you asked, I think, for tax increment financing to redevelop the mall. And so, and we granted an EEA tax to facilitate in the remodeling of the mall, or redevelopment of the mall correctly. And if I understand correctly, now you're asking for 3.3 million, give or take, to apparently complete the remodeling of the mall building and the parking lot and construct a new apartment building with retail spaces below. Is my understanding correctly?
So to be clear, what we're asking for is an increase that will help facilitate some of the improvements on the east side of the building.
So if we don't authorize the additional EEA tax, I got the impression at our last conversation that nothing more will be done to the mall. Is that correct?
I think it's fair to say that the improvements that would be made would be very minimal, yes. And that stems from a number of things. Number one, that there just aren't any additional funds left over from the original TIF and original EEA. Second thing is that the tenants that are interested in doing something on the backside are tenants that would much rather be facing Dewey Street, right? I mean, that's where all the traffic is. That's where everybody sees you. And so putting folks on the backside of the mall, instead of the, let's say, $9.75 a square foot that we're getting out of somebody, the offers that we're getting on the backside of the mall are like $3.50. Well, $3.50 for Ollie's on the backside of the mall doesn't even pay for their tenant improvements over a 15-year period. So for us, just having that and just doing Ollie's the way they want to do it on the backside of the mall for that price doesn't make any sense, and we just wouldn't do it. So yeah, I think the improvements for a large part would just stop until something else changed.
Okay, so I think you just said that the monies have been spent to date for the TIF bond, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you're asking for an additional $3 million, and that $3 million is going to build an apartment complex with retail facilities beneath it, and it's going to finish the remodeling of the building, of the mall building. Am I understanding that correctly?
What the 3.3 allows us to do is do improvements to the back of the building that are specifically site improvements. In this case, almost all of it is site improvements, which means utilities, which means the sewer line, which it means everything that needs to be done to get, heck, demolition of the existing asphalt, those sort of things. All the things that get us into a position of being able to then build the apartment complex. Now, that apartment complex itself is being built with funds from ourselves and other investors. So the TIF dollars, or the EEA dollars themselves do not build the mixed-use apartment building, no.
So am I understanding correctly that if we don't give you the EEA tax money, that you're not going to build the apartments?
At this point, the answer would be yes. It'd be very, very difficult for us to move forward because there is a significant there's a significant cost to just getting the utilities to the point, and the demolition, the utilities, and all the site infrastructure that needs to be done, that is not in our budget for the apartment building, and wouldn't be supported by the revenues that the apartment building could generate.
I'm really confused, I guess, at this point, how you're going to pay for this. If you're out of money now and you want $3.3 million in additional EEA bond money, how are you going to pay to finish up the mall building when it's not completed, and you're going to renovate a parking area that needs bad renovation very badly? I don't understand how the money's going to stretch far enough to get all this done.
And I guess if I haven't been clear, this money itself is not enough to just do everything like we did the west side of the building. That's not what we're here asking for. We're asking for a smaller portion of funds to do specific projects in specific areas on the backside of the mall. Now, those projects don't happen unless we have a tenant that wants that portion of the mall, and we can do something with them. Or in this case, we have partners and investors that are interested in doing an apartment complex, which doesn't work financially without the infrastructure and site work being done and paid for by EEA. So once that site work and infrastructure is done, then the funds that we have and the loan that we'll get from a local bank, that will help pay for the actual construction of the apartment complex. And the same would be said of Ollie's, let's say, at the back of the JCPenney's building. We would take the funds that we are getting from the EEA, a portion of that would go to facade improvements, and it would go to improve the parking lot areas that the Ollie's and people are going to park in, and the rest of it would be provided through financing, through our own money. Some of it would be financing, and some of it would be tenant improvements paid for by the tenant themselves.
So if we approve the $3.3 million tonight, how soon are you going to start on the apartments?
The plan at this point is to start in March of this year.
And how long do you anticipate the construction to take before they can be rented?
In a perfect world, 10 months, but it's probably a 12-month project.
Okay.
So
So you're saying if we approve the monies tonight, that we can expect to have apartments habitable a year from today?
that is the goal as a developer. That is correct. Now, I think other folks that have been in business here will understand that there's other things that still have to happen, right? We still have to get the financing in place. Now, we have an offer on that. We think that we can get that financing in place fairly quickly. We have to have an appraisal that comes in that is appropriately sized. We have to get investor money in, which again we've been working on. We think that we have that all solved, but all of those things still have to happen, which are pretty big tasks. So I can't sit here and promise you that absolutely 12 months from now you'd have them, but I can tell you that without the EEA being approved, that there's no chance that those apartments are there.
Well, I guess I have some concerns. We granted you a tax increment finance, the ability to get a tax increment finance bond. And I forget what the number of dollars of quality growth funds were granted. And I don't know how many dollars the EEA tax has generated so far. But it was my impression that the mall was going to be renovated for that amount of money, and we're not.
and I'm not sure that we're meeting the goals, at least that I was expecting to find. And I'm not sure that giving you another $3.3 million is going to get us there.
And I'm not suggesting that it gets you to all the way to the same point that the west side of the mall is at. I can tell you that we've spent significant time, energy, and funds on the west side of the mall. I think it looks spectacular. I think it's brought new retail to the city. I know it's brought new jobs. I know it's bringing over $300,000 a year extra sales tax revenue to the city. It's done the things that we said it was going to do, plus some. Is the entire mall completed and have costs gone up substantially from 2020 to 2025? Absolutely. And did we know that was going to happen? Absolutely not. Not to this degree. So yes, we are here asking for some help on the east side of the mall.
So, Mike, a point of clarification. So when you were planning the initial project to improve the mall into what is District 177 today, roughly when was that planning occurring, calendar-wise?
In 2021. We closed in October of 2020, and I think you guys approved everything in maybe July of 2021, something like that. June. Thank you.
Okay. And since you're in the construction business, just as a percentage, what would you say inflation has done to construction costs since that period, since the approval, since June of 20?
In the last 3 years, easily 30 to 40% increase.
Okay.
On a $70 million project.
So if it was a 30% increase, you would have, on a $70 million project, the $70 million project became a $91 million project, give or take a little.
For full completion? Yeah, I think that's a very fair estimate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I know you're aware of this, but to request formally, I need to remove myself from this item due to the potential for a conflict of interest.
Thank you. Do we have other questions or comments? Brad?
Yes. All right. The mixed use building, it's going to be just one or two like you have now?
Just one building.
Just one building.
Yes.
You mentioned 71 apartments?
Correct.
Did I catch that right? And how many stores underneath do you think that's going to?
How many stores?
Yes. The retail.
Both end caps right now are expected to be retail.
Okay. But how many spots do you think that?
I think only two. The
just
goal right
two.
now would be
Okay.
just two separate, yes, retail bays.
All right. I think my concern with this contract is there aren't any deliverables specified in it. You know what I mean? It specifies how much money you'll spend on the project itself, but there's no like, that's going to get us to here. You know, we're not going to have a apartment complex. You know, the parking lot's not going to be done. So if I had my druthers, I would add some specifics to the deliverables. Would you be okay with that, or would you want to negotiate that? What are your thoughts on that?
I understand the desire.
For sure.
Absolutely. I think the answer to that is it's kind of the same answer I had for the previous question, which is there are so many other factors that go into it. And I know you do these sort of things yourself that go into knowing that you can get an apartment complex done or a retail bay redone completely and the facade redone. I guess the answer to your question and the solution really is that we don't get to collect or use any of these funds unless from here going forward, we do additional improvements to the mall itself. I mean, that's really what holds our handcuffs us to the project and handcuffs us to the EEA. We're not getting a penny of this at any time unless future stuff is done to the mall. And so let's pretend, for instance, that our investor doesn't happen on the apartment complex, but Ollie's comes in and suddenly says, "Hey, yeah, guess what? We're doing great. We can go $7." Well, all of a sudden, we're spending our money on Ollie's and the space in front of Ollie's and the facade there instead of spending more of it on the infrastructure over in the southeast corner. So those are the sort of things that, in my opinion, putting something more specific with deliverables is very, very difficult beyond what we already have in there stating that, that basically it has to go to infrastructure. It has to go to all the statutory things that EEA is actually allowed to use.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, so my understanding that you're unwilling to have any specificity in the contract, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I'm that the specificity is very much in the contract already in terms of what we can use these dollars for, and that we can't have any of these dollars until we already spend the money. So
But I
we don't
haven't
spend
heard
another penny,
anything,
we can't use
I
these
haven't
dollars.
heard anything about when you anticipate to have it done. And that, I guess, is a concern. Like I said earlier, we allocated a certain amount of money for the redevelopment of the mall. And by my reckoning right now, you may be, what would you say, 75% done?
Yeah, that's a good estimate.
And we're not there. And I'm not sure.
Actually, I would take it back. If you're talking about the mall, it's just the building at 70%, sure. If you're talking about the overall development, we're probably 90% of the way there. The spaces that we have left to do something with is, and the reason why we're asking for 3.3 million when we know when what the front of the building took, roughly $15 million of infrastructure costs, is because we have, that's what we believe we have left to get some of the projects done that we need to do in the back of the building. And again, I go back to the same thing. If we don't approve this, unfortunately, the back of the building stays as it is. And it goes back to Pete's comment, which is it's just going to stay like that until market conditions change in some manner.
Can you answer one quick question for me? Since people keep asking me, what's going on with the Arby's building? People keep asking me, so I thought it would be
The
best
plan
to-
is and it is scheduled that the Arby's building will actually get knocked down next week. And Panda Express is building one of their larger buildings on the same spot. Starting this spring to open up early third quarter.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now I can tell everyone to watch a city council meeting from tonight. And so that-
Food's always more interesting. I agree.
That's right. Nick, you had a question?
So where exactly are the apartments going to go that you're looking at building?
So movie theater, southeast corner off of Francis, correct? I get Philip and Francis mixed up. Off of Francis Street. There's that grassy area. It's kind of got a mound of dirt in it. That's exactly where it's going to go.
So underneath the apartments, are those retail spaces more desirable than the backside of the mall? Which, I mean, if you build the apartments with the retail underneath of it, which one's going to be more apt to get rented first? The backside of the mall or underneath the apartments?
Great question, but the reality is these are much smaller retail bays. So this would apply to a different type of retailer than what we're looking for inside the building. Like Ollie's could never fit in this. Heck, even the hardware store, Harbor Freight, which I think all of you've heard of, and we have worked to get them to come here. They wouldn't fit into one of these bays either because it's just much smaller space.
The issue on the backside of the mall, is it not being able to find the right retailers, or not being able to fix the infrastructure and to entice them to come into the mall?
It's the enticing them to come to the mall, right? We've tried to reposition the backside of the mall as not the backside of the mall, but the Baumgars side of Phillip Street, right? I mean, if you go back over there, it feels like there's good things going on in the Baumgars and the Italian restaurant and some of the other stuff going on over there. We feel like it'd be a perfect location for a Harbor Freight or a discount store or somebody like that. To get other folks that are used to driving down the main street in a small town and being seen, it's very hard to get folks excited about going over there. So what do? You end up lowering your rate. You end up agreeing to do more work for them than you would for somebody on the Dewey side. Those are the problems.
So if you had a retailer tomorrow say, we want that location, would you be able to remodel and get it ready to go for them without this money?
Not based on the amounts that people are talking about paying for the east side of the mall. No.
Anyone have any questions we have not had so far?
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we table this for future discussion.
Second.
Take notes here. Okay, we have a motion to table. There is no discussion after motion from to table, so calling the question on motion to table. The motion is passed, so the item is tabled. to our next meeting. Okay, moving on to item number 3. Approve the agreement for sale of real property at 2107 West 2nd Street with the estate of Robert D. Mills and authorize the mayor to sign necessary documents.
Move to approve the agreement for sale of real property with the estate of Robert D. Mills and authorize the mayor to sign necessary documents.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Okay. Motion by Garrick, second by Reeker. Any discussion on item number 3? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 3. Okay, item number 3 is passed. Item number 4, accept and authorize the mayor to sign renewal of the city maintenance agreement number 20 with the Nebraska Department of Transportation.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept and authorize the mayor to sign renewal of the city maintenance agreement number 20 with the Nebraska Department of Transportation.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Garrick. Any discussion on item number 4? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 4. Item number 4 is passed. Item number 5, action to adopt ordinance number 4191 to create street improvement district number 364 on West 15th Street between Custer Avenue and Hayes Avenue and North Custer Avenue between 15th Street and 16th Street. Lane, would you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4191. An ordinance creating street improvement district number 364 in the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and describing the various streets in said street improvement district and improvements to be constructed therein.
Move to adopt ordinance number 4191 to create street improvement district number 364 as presented in council materials.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Reeker. Discussion on item number 5. Mr.
Mr.
Reeker?
Mayor, thank you for doing this on our side of town. I guess I probably shouldn't have said it that way. Thank you for doing this street improvement project.
I think it'll be a good project.
It'll be a good project. Is this going to be paid for by CBDG grant? Is that how this is going to be?
Yes, 71% of it is the CDBG grant. 29% of it is, give or take a little, is the city of North Platte.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments? Ty?
On the remaining 29%, will the city be paying that through our typical general funds, or do you foresee assessing lot owners under that for that percentage?
The plan is to use city funds for that. I think with CDBG, we can assess it, number one, and number two, that was always a plan to use either existing funds or put it into our bond fund and pay for it with our other street improvement bonds.
If we can't assess street owners and we're planning to pay for it, then I would offer an amendment to the motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Okay, we have an amendment to waive the 3 readings by Lucas and seconded by Garrick. Any discussion on waiving the 3 readings? Seeing none, calling the question on waiving the 3 readings. Okay. 3 readings are now waived on this item. Moving back to the original item. Any other questions or comments? Ed?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. When do you anticipate that this project will be completed, Lane?
The plan is to finish the plans and bid it this spring, and then it'll just depend on the contractors who bid it and their timeframes and what's the most favorable bid, but we're hoping it would be summer construction if all goes well.
Okay, thank you.
I can't promise that, but that's our hope.
Understand.
So we're gonna bid it as soon as we can.
Other questions or comments? Okay, calling the question on item number 5 as amended, please. Item number 5 is passed as amended. Item number 6, first reading and action on ordinance number 4190 to amend and rename Chapter 119, Title 11 of the Code of the City of North Platte. Lane, the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 4190, an ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to amend and rename the Code of the City of North Platte, Chapter 119, to be entitled Games, within Title 11 Business Regulations, to provide that this ordinance shall be made a part of the Code of the City of North Platte, Nebraska, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4190 to amend and rename Chapter 119, Title 11 of the Code of the City of North Platte.
Second.
Motion by Flanders, second by Lucas. Any discussion on item number 6? Go ahead.
First a comment. Thank you for rewriting this bill. This is much better. So I really appreciate you doing the work on this. Is there any logic or any reason not to waive the 3 readings on this?
It's whatever the council would prefer. If there's a sense that we need to have it read more, that's fine. If you want to waive the 3 readings, I think it's just like we've talked about previously. It's bringing it more into conformity with the changes to state law already. So I'm fine either way.
Yeah, essentially, we're just dropping the illegal part of our ordinance. So I move to waive the 3 readings.
Unenforceable is what I would call
Unenforceable. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to waive the 3 readings by Garrick and a second by McNew. If I heard that correctly, is that correct, Nick? Okay, thank you. Any discussion on waiving the 3 readings for item number 6? Seeing none, calling the question, waiving the 3 readings. 3 readings are waived. Back to the original item number 6. Hold on. Further discussion on item number 6 as amended. Seeing none, calling the question on item number 6. Item number 6 is passed as amended. Item number 7, first reading and action on ordinance number 4192 to amend section 110.01 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to occupation taxes. Lane, the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 4192, an ordinance of the City of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to amend Chapter 110, Title 11, Section 1 of the Code of the City of North Platte, revising business occupation taxes, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, to provide for severability and providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4192 to amend 110.01 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to occupation taxes.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols. Discussion on item number 7.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
this ties exactly in with item number 6, so I think we need to waive the 3 readings on this one as well. So I would make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Vols, second by Garrick to waive the 3 readings on item number 7. Any discussion on waiving the 3 readings? Seeing none, calling the question on waiving the 3 readings. 3 readings are waived on item number 7. We're back to the original item number 7. Any further discussion on item number 7 as amended? Mr. Lucas?
I'm not going to propose any alterations today, but as we go in the next budget cycle, when you look at this list, I think philosophically the idea is that things that cause more impact on, say, our police department or fire, or that don't really pay any kind of sales tax but are using more city services. But I scratch my head a little bit on some of them, like the bowling lanes and maybe the dance floor and that. So in our next budget cycle, I might just ask Lane that the staff just looks at any of these, and if there's any that time has evolved and they just aren't creating the impact that maybe at one time they were, that we consider looking at those as being some of those being removed in our next budget cycle, if you feel it's appropriate.
Okay. Other discussion on item number 7. Seeing none, calling the question on item number 7. Item number 7 is passed. Item number 8. First reading and action on ordinance number 4193 to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.99 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to penalties for the violation of animal control ordinances. Lane, the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 4193, an ordinance of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.99 of the Code of the city of North Platte by revising provisions relating to penalties for the violation of animal control ordinances, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4193 to amend Title 9, Chapter 90, Section 90.99 of the Code of the City of North Platte relating to penalties for the violation of animal control ordinances.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Flanders. Any discussion on item number 8? Ty?
Just for some clarification, so if I have an animal and they do something wrong, if they run away and get picked up by animal control, then I got to go pick them up because they ran away. Does that all fall in the increases of penalty? In other words, are those all considered? Maybe the question I'm trying to ask, are there things that go on in this area that are not classification 1, 2, or 3 penalties, or how does that work?
So hopefully this is an answer to your question. So let me know if this doesn't cover it. But typically with these classifications, we see them really in 2 different areas. One would be for a loose animal, and 2 would be for no proof of a rabies vaccination. And so as it stands right now with these penalties, the people are just assessed whatever the fine is for the classification. For loose animals, the animal control officers and police department, they generally will give you a warning, so you're not going to get any kind of a fine on a typical like first offense. So it's only if it becomes an issue where your dog is consistently out where you're going to get any kind of a citation on this. If you can't show that your animal has been vaccinated, then you're going to get a ticket for that. Where this proposed change comes in is it gives me a little bit more flexibility as the city prosecutor to be able to say, hey, if you want to sign your citation, waive any further court hearings and pay the fine, you can have the lowest amount of the offense. If you want to take this all the way to a trial and take, hours upon hours of my time and the court's time, then at least gives me the ability to ask the court to impose a little bit higher fine if somebody wants to take it all the way to a full trial. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. And I realize it's the residents' responsibility to keep their animal from being loose too. I'm not against that. I just wanted to understand how that worked. So no concerns. Thank you.
Other questions on item number 8? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 8, please. Item number 8 is passed. Item number 9, adopt the resolution providing for the designation of Equitable Bank as a warrant lender, authorizing the execution and delivery of a warrant purchase agreement with such designated warrant lender, and referring to and incorporating the terms and conditions of ordinance number 3874 relating to warrant financing.
Move to approve the resolution providing for the designation of Equitable Bank as a warrant lender, authorizing the execution and delivery of a warrant purchase agreement with such designated warrant lender, and referring to and incorporating the terms and conditions of ordinance number 3874 relating to warrant financing.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Vols. Discussion on item number 9. Seeing none, calling the question on item number 9. Item number 9 is passed, excuse me. Item number 10. Adopt the resolution approving claims and authorizing the issuance of one warrant to Myers Construction, Inc. in the amount of $236,339.89. One warrant to Level LLC in the amount of $72,714.75. And one warrant to Paulson, Inc. in the amount of $93,425.40 to pay the approved claims and referring to and incorporating the terms and conditions of ordinance number 3874 relating to warrant financing.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of 3 warrants as presented in the materials.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Garrick, I think. Won that one. Any discussion on item number 10? Calling the question, item number 10, please. Item number 10 is passed. Item number 11, approve the claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the claims.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols. Any discussion on the claims? Seeing none, calling the question on the claims. Claims are paid. Public agenda request. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of the employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individual in violation will be declared out of order. At this point, any citizen or anyone in the meeting who would like to have the council consider something on a future agenda, you're welcome to come up to the podium and request that we do so. Mr. Reeker.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols to adjourn, calling the question on adjournment. I'm quite certain the meeting is adjourned, even though Mr. Nisley didn't press his button very well. Okay, meeting